I have no slides. I have slides. I have no beer. Oh. It was worth a shot. So, hello, hi everybody. Welcome to, I have renamed this talk. Originally it was meant to be the black box of hacking skills. I thought that was not as much fun as the idea of hacking your neighbors. Okay? So how many people have neighbors? How many people don't like their neighbors? How many people wish their neighbors weren't me? Okay. So this is really cool because this is the first time I'm going to be live streamed, which is kind of funky. I have a mad echo right up here. I'm not too sure if it's just me. I'm hoping my wife has managed to do something and has got the kids to tune in and say hello. So, hey kids, Papa loves you. Papa's presenting to crazy people. I'm going to show him how to hack a bank. Don't do this. If Papa gets arrested. Okay. So, hacking your neighbors and other life skills. This is a talk about hacking tools. So if you decided you wanted to go see and learn something smart, this is not the room. This is the room where I will show you how to break things. You've learned, this is build stuff, right? This is break stuff, all right? This is very much, I think this is perfect. At the end of a whole load of talks about how to build something, they're going to put the security guy, which should have been the first talk you saw. Because everybody does, always tax on security at the end. So this is very much like the development process. So I'm going to show you today how to break things. I have a plan of showing things like, for example, how to do reconnaissance, different types of attacks, exploits, also how to social engineer your friends for passwords, and potentially, probably, I'll show you how to hack a bank while we're at it. So this will turn you from a bad neighbor. You will turn out, you'll be the kind of, the neighbor like me, where I know all my neighbors' passwords to their Wi-Fi. It's a very handy skill to have, especially at 3 o'clock in the morning when the neighbor upstairs is playing something on Spotify. And your wife goes, whoop, huh? The neighbor's at it again. No, they're not. No, they're playing music. Aha, we know who speaks English now. Okay, can you go up there and fix it? No, it's cold. I'll do it from my phone. You're going to text them? Nope. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, the Wi-Fi shut off. Oopsie. Anyway, so, a little bit about me. My name is Niall. I am an Irish guy living in Norway. I am the head of cybersecurity for Capgemini in Norway, and I also am all these other titles which make no sense at times. But you can tweet me at nmerrigan. You can email me at niallmerrigan@capgemini.com if you so wish. You can visit my company's website because that would then that shows that they're getting some value from me being out here. And if you really are a bit masochistic, you can look at my very old website. So, when I get asked, why do I want to show people how to hack systems? I show them this slide. I say, you can only fight the way you practice. I.e., if you don't know how to attack your systems, or you don't know how your systems will be attacked, how on earth can you defend yourself? Like, how many of you learned how to drive? How many of you can drive? Okay, let's try that. It's fairly much everybody. There's one person there, I don't know what that is. It's a car, okay? Got it, good. Did you drive in a simulator, or did you drive in an actual car? Did you go out on the road and scare the living bejesus out of other people? Did you drive where the sweat was going down the back, and you were white-knuckled like this, and you still hadn't left the car park? Yeah? We've all been there. Now, you probably can't remember driving to work. You're just going, oh, I'm here. How did that happen? All right? But we learn by practicing, we learn by doing, we learn by seeing all these types of attacks, and the only way that people will learn from how to defend their applications is if they do get attacked. Most of us will never see this in real life because we'll never even know it's coming. But attackers don't have the same kind of moral code as you do. They don't go and look at their application going, it's fine, it doesn't have error checking, it'll be okay. You know, timing attacks against your logins won't affect you. I'm looking at one man in the audience. It was subtle. And if you don't know what it is, go look it up on the internet. Many of us will not ever have to do security defense in anger because we'll probably be owned before we know it. But until you start using these types of tools, you will never understand how easy it is to break your applications. So what I'm going to show you today is the art, or the whole process of how we go from, I have no idea what your application looks like, to I know what your database does and here's all your passwords. So we go through the strategies. What is like reconnaissance? How do we find how do we find bugs? How do we know what applications are vulnerable? How do I kind of exploit something? And how do I do these? And how do I understand where applications are built, how they're hosted, and where they're going to be affected? So one of the main things I want you to take away from this: don't do this against any application you don't own. All right? Can everyone say, I understand, check, agree? Yes, you all understand. Right. The reason for this is people get a little bit annoyed if you break their applications. They get a bit upset if you go, hi, here's your database. Hi, here's your login. Hi, here's your password. They get a little bit upset because we don't like it. We feel like it's violating us a little bit, so they kind of get a bit upset. But the thing is, you shouldn't do it against applications you don't own, because most laws will probably say you're doing something bad. It's kind of the equivalent of, this is the argument that most people use, is I saw a door open, so I poked at my head inside the house. All right? You notice a SQL injection and you decide to extract the database. But this is what it's going to be doing, and people are going to get a bit upset, so please don't do this in public. Do it in private, at home, on a virtual machine, or whatever you own. Here's what I'm going to show you. The first tool is called Kali Linux. Kali is a Linux distribution based off of Debian. It has about 1,000 tools built into the OS, ready for you to use. It is distributed by Offensive Security. They do a phenomenal job with maintenance on this. And what they do is they have a load of packages on the application ready for you to do. You have things like, for example, reconnaissance, exploitation, Wi-Fi attacking, password hacking, password cracking, etc. Very handy, just means it's much easier to run. You can run this as a virtual machine, which you can download. You can deploy it to Azure, AWS, whatever you want if you don't want to run it locally. But make sure, whatever you do, change the default password, because in the VMs, a lot of the time it's root and toor, as in T-O-O-R, root backwards. So if you kind of do find applications that are running Kali in the cloud, do try that as a password check, just in case. All right? And then you have a free box that you don't own. Some of you are going, oh. There you go. Now, things I'm going to show you include things like Nmap, network mapper protocols, Metasploit, which is the Swiss Army knife of exploitation tools, and a tool called Beef, which stands for the Browser Exploitation Framework, which is a fantastic social engineering toolkit that we will use to show you how I'm going to make things like Clippy appear on screen and hack your browser. Now, final time. Second time around. All what I'm going to show you today, in some jurisdictions, will be considered illegal, will be considered hacking. People in grey jackets, black jackets, with white coats for you, whatever, may turn up at your doorstep and give out to you. So don't do this on any application you don't own, and if for the love of God, don't get caught doing it. Anyway, so let's start with Recon, because Recon's kind of fun. And Recon involves, let me just do this, and we have a Wi-Fi pineapple running. Ooh, people don't know what that is, do they? So, this is the NVD, the National Vulnerability Database. This is where you go finding whether an application is vulnerable. It's a very cool system because everything has what is known as a CVE, Common Vulnerability and Exposure. In other words, this is when an application is registered that there's something wrong, and they say, here, you've now got a CVE score, or CVE number. Currently, there's about, I think, 11,000 CVEs for 2017 right now. About 7,000 of those are Flash. That is why Flash is dying, because Flash is very bad. It's very good for hackers, very bad for the internet. So what we're going to show you now as well is what it looks like for some of these applications. I'm going to hopefully see if this resolution works. And if not, we're going to have a real lot of fun with it. No, that's not going to work. There's how we do something else. One sec. So here's a detail of one that has gone wrong. I am going to hopefully see if this works. No, that's not going to work. So, this is an Oracle hospitality reporting bug. It has a CVE score. I'm fairly sure I can see it here. And if we just look, let's see if this works. Whoops. Yes. So you can see here that it has a CVE dictionary entry of this particular number. It was released and resourced. But it has a lot of information about what is wrong with the application. It'll show you the impact. It has this 10.0 critical, meaning this is a very bad applicational bug. You can see here, 10 critical, and it has a 6.4 medium, but it tells you how much this will impact your application, as in what is happening, how difficult it is to exploit it, etc. Once you start finding, you go in here, you'll start, whoops, do I have my numbers up here? Sorry, I didn't see that. Come back. You come over here. That's my little counter. Papa's not making a good job of it, kids. There we go. All right. So we can see other CVE details as we go along. If you want to go and find accessible sites, or learn how to do this, this is the exposed, or the open bug bounty. What they do is a group of XSS experts, so it's like a bug bounty program, and what they do is they go looking for cross-site scripting attacks, and then they will show you which applications they found, what's pending, and also you can learn the type of attack they use to go against the application. It means it becomes very easy to find or learn from them. The next one, which I'm hoping is up here, is the exploit database, which is the one I should have gone to. So the exploit database is when you found a vulnerability in NVD, you have found something wrong with Oracle, you found something wrong with Flash, you say, how do I exploit that? Because they just tell you something's wrong. They don't tell you how to actually attack it. So what you do is you go to the exploit DB, you go and say, right, tell me all the information about this particular exploit. So you can see here, if I scroll up, the remote exploits and the ones that are available. You can also see here the web application exploits have things like remote code execution, cross-site scripting. If you Google SQL injection, you can see here 2017-1107, Manage Engine Applications Manager 13, SQL injection. It is still a thing. Everyone familiar what SQL injection is? Okay. Anyone not? Right. We won't have to explain it. But SQL injection, for most people, is a very, very common thing. We also then go to here, and this is the Google Hacking Database, also known as the largest collection of Google dorks. Everyone familiar what a Google dork is? No. Google dork is a specifically crafted Google query to get back stuff you're not really supposed to find. All right? So it is like, for example, if you ever want to really annoy someone at Google or really get your machine blacklisted, Google a credit card number. Automatically, it'll go, you're up to something funny on this computer. Are you a robot? No. So you can see here, on the Google Hacking Database, if we scroll a little bit down, it has different categories, and we can scale a little bit down here. One of my favorite ones is this, I think it's here. Yes, I hopefully will be able to show it to you. Files containing passwords. Passwords, Google found passwords. And it still does. So let's go find some passwords. Okay? No, it's the wrong one, sorry. I think I have it here. So I have to see if I have it here. Is it Google? Yes, this is the one. Google in URL FTP, file type config. What am I looking for? Web configs. What does the web config tell you? It also tells you passwords, it tells you how the website's configured. The web config cannot be downloaded over HTTP, correct? Over IIS anyway, for example. Yeah, but on FTP it can. And a lot of people leave these applications out online, and if you are to go in and look at these FTP configs, you would probably find usernames, connections, passwords, etc. Because, stuff. You could also look at this one, and hopefully it's here. This is like, for example, looking for Gradle and properties. Go on to github.com, type in gmail.com in the search, or smtp.gmail.com, and you'll find all the SMTP Google Mail credentials they've used. People check these in. It's brilliant. If you ever need a free email account, that's where you go. If you ever need a free credit card, go to twitter.com and type in need a debit card or need a credit card. The number of people who photograph their cards and put a picture of it on Twitter is quite amazing. And if you tweet them that's saying, that's an amazing looking photo, can you also show me the back? They will. We're doomed. As a species, we're doomed. Mom, I can't understand why all my money's gone. Anyway, so I've shown you that. I've shown you some other stuff. Let's go find this. This is PunkSpider. PunkSpider is a search engine for vulnerabilities. It allows you to find SQL injectable sites, XSS, CSRF, you name it. I went looking for what I could find in Lithuania, and I found a number of different sites that we can go hack today. So for SQLi, you can go find, you might not find, like Dacona.lt has a SQL injection attack on it, just if you don't want to play with that. I recommend you don't. This is my favorite tool of all time. This is Showdown. Showdown is a search engine for the Internet of Things. If you ever wanted to find a fridge, a bed, a random toilet, you can. Now, we talked about the NVD, right? So if you start getting into the mind of a hacker and mind of an attacker, one of the things you'll do is like, I'm going to look for vulnerable applications. What is recently, like a lot of stuff has been recently end of life from Microsoft, for example, Windows Server 2003, okay? What version of IIS does that run? 6. So if we were to go looking for IIS 6 boxes, how many things do you think we'd find worldwide? A lot. How many is a lot? Because that's a really weird number for me. Hundreds of thousands. You're not wrong. It's a bit more. It's about 680,000, give or take. Right? So there's actually it's gone down. It's 597,458 that we can find. These are running IIS 6 with ASP.NET 2 or other applications, so you can go play with them. I recommend you don't. Now, in Lithuania, here's the number of applications we can find. So we have 396,185 different kind of things. In Vilnius alone, with 54,000, most of them are running off this. They're probably running HTTP web servers, etc. So this is how you'd go find out what's available here. But you do find some weird stuff on Showdown. So let's hop over to the US, and specifically the San Diego County. Now, I put this up because I want to point out some stuff. Besides the fact it says San Diego County Sex Offender Management Council, all right, there's a little piece of information below that. So, Windows XP. What does XP stand for? I would say extra vulnerable, but it doesn't really work. Yeah, this is not going to work too well for them. Believe it or not, this was found by a guy called Dan Tentler. He's called Vis on Twitter. Follow him and just watch the craziness he finds. He finds stuff from JPL, NASA, you name it. He found stuff from the State Department. It's kind of a mad rabbit hole. But we'll go looking at other things, like, for example, unauthenticated applications here. For example, in Lithuania, we can find these are screenshots of servers that are running VNC, for example. So VNC stands for Virtual Network Computing. It has no username and password because usernames and passwords are complicated, and you can connect to them remotely without having any type of credentials. And so I said, well, what else could we find if we went this way? And we could probably find other webcams. So these are webcams that are available. If I scroll down here a little bit, oh, sorry, don't do that. Hang on a second. Scroll down here a little bit. I want to point out something because it freaks the living bejesus out of me. You see this picture here? What's that? What's that? It's a cradle, it's a crib. Somebody has put a webcam over a child's crib without a username and password. All right? Now, this also could be a baby camera. This could be something running like port 554, real-time streaming protocol. This is live, as in it's been captured. This is not edited by me, this is put in now. So I want to just put out one thing. This is a hacking talk, but we are doing build stuff. For the love of God, if you are dealing with personal data, if you're dealing with any data, or you're dealing with customers, and if someone says, this application can ship without a username and password, and it exposes customers like this, don't do it. All right? Don't allow them, don't allow customers, don't allow your clients to have applications without a username and password, because they will take the point of lowest resistance. Make sure it has a username and password. Otherwise, you'll end up in like this in my talk with kind of just baby cameras. Other applications we can find include this, where if I scroll down a little bit more, whoops, let's do here. I can find different other applications online, including God knows what. These are consoles and VNC that are available today. Oh, there's probably something there. And if I look over here, this is a control panel for something that shouldn't be online. I did this talk in Sydney about last year. And as I was trying to figure out, find something in Australia, I went, okay, show me what's available in Sydney. And I found the fire suppression system for Sydney Harbour. Open and available, and you could start, there was a big button that said start deluge. So I was thinking foam party on the corner of Sydney Harbour, So if you're wondering, would someone track you if you connected to this? The answer is yes. Use a VPN, they won't find you. But please do not go and connect to these, because you will get in trouble. People get a bit upset. Right. Let's go back to this. So, actually, I'm wrong place now, haven't I? So let's do that again. Ooh, where's my mouse? Shift F5, we'll do it. Yay. So, let's show you how to do reconnaissance when you're on someone's network. So this is going to run Nmap. So Nmap, if this is playing, let's hope it is. Because I've had issues with, no, this is playing, cool. So this is going to do Wi-Fi scanning. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set, I have a normal kind of Wi-Fi little dongle, about $20. I'm going to put it into a thing called monitor mode. Monitor mode allows me to sniff all the different packets walking over and back across the air, rather than actively connecting to a network. So if I do aero dump ng, and I just tell it to use this particular thing, I can see that my home network is called Cilia. It's the same with my wife, and I have a guest, and eventually I'll start sniffing all my neighbors' Wi-Fi access points, so I'll know what's available. This is like when your application, you say which Wi-Fi you want to connect. So this gives me an idea of also the different, what devices are connected, what power they're running. I can see they're using in WPA2 in most cases, which we now know is broken due to crack. I can see that, for example, a particular device is trying to connect back to a different base station, but it doesn't give me a lot of information. So if I tack on WPS and manufacturer, I can find out what the type of device is. So I can see that I'm using Ubiquiti networks at home. I'll eventually start finding one which will turn up to be an Apple device. I think it's on Idrisil, I think it's called. And I'll eventually find out it's an Apple router. And what I can do there is, once I know what the application router is using, I can say, right, I will deauth it. I will take all the clients off it. So I can send a packet that says deauth this. I will then stand up a new Wi-Fi point with the same name with an open network that I will get you to connect to. Because you'll go, I can't connect to this, I have to connect to this. Once you connect to me, it looks like the Wi-Fi point you expect, because it's got the Apple logo, it's got all the information on it. It says, there's a problem with your router, you need to upgrade the firmware. Please supply your Wi-Fi password, your admin username and password, and click OK. I save the creds, you get back on your Wi-Fi, you're none the wiser, I've now got access to your network. It's that simple. And if you're wondering how difficult it is to stand up a network, I did one with a pineapple. Now, this annoys people because a pineapple is kind of fun to play with. So if we do it here. I have about 12 clients connected to me. Let's see how many is really actually connected to me. Anyone in there that I can see? So there's some people with different host names, Yotta, iPhone, Lonely Hacker, somebody in the guest. What I'm doing is I have a small little rogue access point, which is broadcasting a ton of SSIDs. Your phone is going, oh, I know that SSID. I'll connect to it. Your device is going, oh, I recognize that. If you have a computer, open up or a phone, look at the different number of different Wi-Fi points that are currently active. It'll probably affect more of you over here than over there because the little device is only here. On average, I can get about 250 people. I did this in an airport, and literally had 175 people just went, it's like a sponge. It also means I can be a man in the middle between you and everyone else, which means then I control the internet. And this little device here, it's this big, it's $100. Buy it at hack5.com, tell them I sent you. Now, are we here? So you've now done your Wi-Fi reconnaissance, but let's have a look at the mapping of the current network. So here I'm going to do is a scan to show me what devices are available on the network I'm on. I do this a lot at hotels. It tells me what other number of devices are sharing the network with me if I'm having problems. I do find things like point-of-sale devices, copiers, printers, and the odd teapot. Now, you can see here that I have scanned a number of different applications. I can see my gateway is 192.168.221.1, but you'll notice that there's 2 penguins and 2 Windows boxes. So here's my gateway. It's my VMware workstation, so it is running Windows. It's got a nice little Windows open thing, so it says it's secure. And then I've got down here, which is my Metasploitable box. This is a purposely vulnerable Linux machine that allows me to practice hacking. So if you want to play with something, download this. It's running FTP, specifically VSFTPD 2.3.4. So remember that, because I know that's a vulnerable application. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, well, I've now know that I found a place that is vulnerable. I want to now attack it. Let's go attack it. So I'm going to start doing my break and enter. All right? I like the military team for this. It kind of works. Now, what we're going to do now is Metasploit. So we're going to fire up the console. So that is done with MSF console. And then you just wait a little bit for it to kind of fire up. So this is great with video editing. I don't have to wait too much. And normally what I go doing is, because I'm a bit weird, I like finding the cow. So I type banner in till I find the cow that says moo. All right? And I can show you now, if I type in help, I can show you the different commands that are available. I can connect up to existing, for example, Nmap scans that I just showed you, or I'm going to do other things. In this case, I'm going to do use exploit Unix, FTP, and VSFTPD 234 backdoor. So that was the one of ours. If I get the information about it, I can see the backdoor was introduced between June 30th and July 1st, and according to most recent information, the backdoor was removed on July 3rd, 2011. All right? So there's a backdoor in this particular version of VSFTPD. So what I do is I set the remote host. That's the host I want to attack. I set it to 192.168.221.128, sorry. And then I type exploit. Hacker's done. Wait for it. I got root. So I am Groot now. Does everyone know what root is? Okay, so who am I, root? Excellent. Uname-A. So I'm not on my box anymore. I'm on Linux Metasploitable, this particular server. That is Mr. Robot level of hacking. You just went, I found a problem, I fixed a problem. I now have root. I'll go in and I'll tidy up that server for them. Take away all the credentials they don't want. It's very easy because the fact is all I had to do was find this application, find vulnerable applications. Now, if you're starting to think a little bit like an attacker, you're starting to go, okay, I know how to find vulnerable machines. I know how to find vulnerabilities. Use Showdown. I'll use NVD. I can start going hacking things and scanning them and doing mass exploitation. So if you put a machine on the internet and it's unpatched with a vulnerability, how long do you think before someone goes poking it? Seconds. How long do you think it takes to scan the internet to find if a service is up or running across all 4 billion IP addresses? 1 hour, not bad, it's about 30 minutes. 30 minutes on conventional 1 gig networks at home, you know, stuff you can buy commercially at home. On 10 gig network gear, it's 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes before someone goes over and kind of maybe gently looks at your server and goes, that's nice, and decides to do an exploit against it. So if you provision servers online and you use like automation or whatever, make sure your images are up to date. Because if they are vulnerable, they will get found very quickly. And people are constantly watching for new machines to be spun up. Now, I've just done the 2 black screen kind of editions of scanning and exploits, right? I always find that people get a bit upset if I just show them command line. Let's show you the GUI version of it. So this happens if you plug both Nmap and stuff together. And this is called Armitage. It's based by, it's the little brother of Cobalt Strike from, I think, easyhacker.com or something. So I'm going to do a scan again of the same subnet, 221.0.0/24. I'm going to click OK. Normally this takes about 3 minutes. Magic, we're done. And you can just see that up on my workspace, I can see the different Linux boxes, I can see the different Windows boxes. They're highlighted with penguins and Windows icons so you don't get confused. And then I'm going to go up on the top and scan it and say, find what this application is or this particular system is running. So I get it to run in the background, get it to do stuff. But then there's this thing called find attacks. Because I'm a consultant and I have limited time. So I need to go and find and query the exploit DB. I need to go find all the different metasploitable attacks that are available. And it says, go happy hunting. So I right-click, I go attack, I go to FTP, find the VS FTP again, click it, everything's filled in, difficult, launch. And we wait for a couple of seconds, and eventually I'll get red lightning attacking my penguin. Boom, there's a hacking. I love it, I'm still logging in as root, I'm doing the exact same thing. This is what happens. Okay, so other life skills. I said this was about life skills. Right? So my wife hates this story, but I like it. Anyway, hopefully she's not watching now. Anyway, but one of our disks failed at home. Okay? It was particularly the pictures disk. All right? Where we had a backup of all the photos, the holidays, when the kids are small, everything like that. And I go into the living room and I'm like, honey, a disk died. She goes, so? I said, it was the pictures disk. Oh. And what does that mean? I says, pictures are gone. She goes, you mean the kids' photos? Yep. Family photos? Yep. Christmas photos? Yep. Holiday photos? Yep. The wedding photos? Yep. Niall, what are we going to do? I said, if you wait a couple of minutes, it's downloading a backup from the cloud. You're fine. Why didn't you lead with that? I said, how would I not look awesome if I came in and going, it just works? So there's the advice, you know. If you are awesome at something, don't hide it. Okay? If you can show off to your wife that how technically brilliant you are because you do all this stuff at home, and you can earn some husband points. Everyone know what a husband point is? It's for when you do something stupid. Like buy really expensive speakers that she doesn't like. Or you said, honey, I want to go out with the guys, bye. And then she goes, she takes all your husband points away. But she's lovely woman, really. But this is the thing, you should never show, I always show off the difficult way to do it first so you can understand that the easy way is so easy and you kind of then go, oh, that's why I didn't show them the easy way, because if I show you the complicated way first or last, you'd be going, but the easy way is easy. Now, that's how difficult it is to hack a box. Let's go hack people. And we're going to do beef. This is a 48-ounce steak. In real money, 1.3 kilograms. This is what my mum brought me up from Ireland from our local butcher. All right? And she goes, there's not this particular steak about this size. And the butcher asked, is it just, for how many people is this for? And I said, 1. Yeah, good times. Now, beef is the browser exploitation framework. It is a JavaScript script file that you inject into a web application to allow you to do takeover of that particular web application and browser. So this assumes that you've either managed to do persistent XSS, or you've managed to compromise the database and insert the JavaScript, or you've sent someone a link with the JavaScript in it. So we go to the Beef client, we open it up, and we type in the user, very difficult username, password, Beef and Beef. We click Login, and we see this really nice, cool user interface, but there's nothing going on. Because down the bottom, you can see a browser with 132, and that is the browser I'm going to try and hook. That's my Windows 10 machine. And what I plan to do is I'm going to open up a browser. I'm going to go to my Butcher website, because Beef Butcher. And it looks like a standard issue website. Nothing's happening. All right? I go back, and after a couple of seconds, you'll see the bottom little icon shifting up into captured, or sorry, online browsers. And once it's up there, I can start doing things to it. So now at this point, I can see, for example, that this application or this web application is being browsed from a Windows 10 box that has Shockwave Flash. It has particular kind of, it's in the hooked page of the Butcher. It is the IP and other things. But I can also send it commands. Now I can start attacking it. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to send it Clippy. Because everyone loves Clippy, including James over there. James loves Microsoft stuff. What we're going to do is we're going to send Clippy to the user and get them to upgrade their browser. Install Chrome. And there's Clippy! And it says, do you want to upgrade your browser? Now, if Clippy came up on a website, would you click yes? No, you'd be like, so you could deliver a file to them via that, like a fake flash update. You can use like this, fake flash pass, whatever. So what I want to do now here is a thing called petty theft. And this is, we're going to send a Facebook login to the web page. Because Facebook is awesome. A lot of people use it. So what will happen automatically is, boom. You can fill in your username and password here. Nothing will happen. I'll just get a copy. It's nice. So how many people use Facebook? A lot of people? How many people have used Facebook and have the same password on different other services? There we go. See? Why would you steal the Facebook password? Because I can get your other ones. And you use Facebook to log into a lot of other different places. So if I was to click up here, I can see that, if this is playing, is it still playing? Excellent. Yes. This is me. Sorry. I can get the username and password that was provided to me from that session. So what I think I'll do now is I'll do something, because this is a fake notification bar. So you know the little yellow bar that drops down every so often? It tells you want to run a plugin or something? For those of you who use Internet Explorer, about the two people in the room here who are sadistic and masochistic. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just do it and get it to do a pop-down. Now the reason I'm doing this one is because it's purely the words under it. It says, please install this Java client issued by Microsoft. Now, for everyone in the room, you're probably going, oh my God, no one would fall for that. A lot of people fall for that. Because they don't know what, but the thing is, it's so subtle, it's very difficult. This is one of those things you just go, this is not going to be a problem. So instead I'm going to do something like Google phishing. Now this is cool. What we're going to do is use a technique normally we would say tab napping. So tab napping is where something is gone wrong, where you've got 80 tabs open, just like life, right? After a couple of seconds, it will flick to Google. Now, if you had a tab open like this and says you must log into Google, a lot of you would kind of go, oh shit, it just signed out, I better log back in. Now, I just logged back in, but it went to the original Google page because it assumes I'm supposed to be logged in, but I would steal your Google name, username, and password this way. So, piece of advice, two-factor any of these applications. Google, Facebook, Twitter, all these ones, because they're authentication providers, and usually most people have the same username and password for everything. So this is a very quick way for me to steal a Google password from you. I want to make sure that's running. Is it? Oh, it stopped for some reason. Whoops. Did it just stop? Did I do something stupid? Right. The last one I want to do, or not the last one, it's one of the few ones I want to do. We have figured out how to socially engineer people to download files. The problem is I haven't showed you how to infect a file yet. So now we're going to use a technique known as Venom. Everyone know who this character is? Venom. Who is Venom? Spider-Man's enemy, Eddie Brock, usually. But Venom is a symbiote. Venom infects, it makes the application unusable, it takes over the application. So what Venom here we're going to do now is we're going to inject shellcode into an application, a live application, get you to download it, and then use that infected application to launch a shell. So what we're going to use a technique known as reverse TCP. So I don't know who's going to download this file. I need them to dial home. So I need to set my own, I need to know my external IP address, and what I'm going to do is when they open the file, they're going to dial home. I'm going to go, "Hi son, it's good to see you. Do you want some food?" And I'm going to send them back a payload which they will execute on that client machine, which will then allow me to take it over. With me so far? So it's an ET phone home technique. I send you a file, you click it, you go, because who doesn't trust Irish people? Honestly, look at this dancing leprechaun. Who wouldn't trust my pot of gold? I'll send you a little image of it and you'll be fine. So what I'm going to do here first is run the console app called MS. I'm going to run a handler. So this is what is basically someone waiting for ET to phone home. Okay? So at this point, I have now got a reverse TCP handler. So when someone rings back, I'll be able to send them a payload. I'll use MSF Venom dash, I think it's payload, and I want to say use Windows Meterpreter, and this is where the tab completion doesn't work, so it gets a bit kind of mental, and I have a really bad typing when I'm recording this, and I say reverse TCP. Okay, come on Niall, you can do this, well done. I do lhost, which is my local host, so it's my address, 192.168.221.129. Yes. I will set a port. Normally this runs out through port 4444, but you can do it through port 80, 443, TCP, whatever. I'm going to send the exe to go to plink.exe. All right? I'm just going to infect plink. It'll generate a new link file, a plink.exe file for me. And then I will deploy this application to my Windows computer via Clippy. All right? So this is where Clippy now is deployed to a new browser. The person's gone run, because we all ignore that box. I didn't know the publisher. Okay. Windows does try hard to tell you. And at this point, I can see what will happen now is my handler will see that it says, "Oh, look, something happened. Send a payload." The payload at this point means that I'll generate the payload. I'll show you a session in a second. I'm noticing the question. Can you do a man in the middle attack with text and SSLs? I'll show you that. I actually will show you that in a sec. Sessions. So I can see I'm connected. There's a machine running with desktop Niall. I'm going to connect to session number 3. And now if I do system, or sysinfo, I'm running on this Windows box. It's got an English GB language, work group. You can see the information there. I'm now going to load Espia, I think. Is that what I'm doing? Yeah. Because I'd like to take a snapshot of the user's desktop. So I now go screen grab. Attempt to grab the screenshot from the process's active desktop. Okay. Screen grab. Done. That's what the user is seeing right now. So this is pretty cool. You can do this with webcams, microphones, other different devices. Black Shades used to do this a lot, and that is a very nasty program. Now, what I want to do is, I know that the user will turn off the machine, because it's a home user. I want to make sure that I can maintain access. I'm on a local network. I'm now going to escalate myself to system account. And to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add myself as a user, a local administrator user on the Windows 10 machine. So when I go to manage another user account, you can see I'm only running Niall demo. I'm going to leave it on this screen, okay? And then I'm going to go back here. I'm going to say elevate myself to system. Get system, done. Next, I'm going to add a local user, or just add user. I did this in Tech Days in Netherlands, so I just do Tech Days NL, and I go password 1234 exclamation mark. It's secure. It's got a mix and match of letters and exclamation marks. And then I'm going to add a local group user, because the thing is right now I have no privileges, so I'd like to be an administrator. And I'm going to add the particular user. Okay, done. Yep, there we go. Next, I'm going to go back to Windows. I'm going to go out of here and back in. Show you there was no trickery, honest. Ta-da! I am a local administrator. This usually gets a round of applause. There you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, if corporate IT says you can't be a local administrator, I would challenge them a little bit on this. PowerShell is also a very good way of doing this. PowerShell is a superb hacking technique and technology that you can use. There are 16 different ways to bypass UAC with PowerShell, believe it or not. And one of the easiest ways to do it is the fact is that a lot. So, how many of you use Windows domains at work? Everyone know what group policy is? So there's a lot of group policies that won't let you run applications, right? They'll say you can't run this application. Do you want to know how to bypass that? Zip the application and then double click it. It loads it into memory so that the signature is not the same. And then it runs. I couldn't run putty at work one day for SSH. It says this program is being disallowed by your administrator. Okay, zip. There we go. See, life skills. Honestly. Right, there's a question up here. It says, can you do a man-in-the-middle attack on SSL request? Yes and no. So SSL requests are encrypted, so you have to do a number of things. One is if the web server responds over HTTP, you can just do what is known as a downgrade and then what we call SSL strip. So for every request that comes over SSL, you send it out over HTTP, the server responds, it comes back, you re-encrypt it, the user looks like everything's fine. If they're using HSTS, HTTP, strict transport security, like most banks should do, then you have to do a little bit more trickery and do reverse DNSs and proxies and very much other things. And it wouldn't be a good demo if I couldn't show you how to do that, would it? So let's go hack a bank. One of the things I love is that the web has become more and more secure simply because of a couple of things. Browsers have got better. Let's Encrypt is one of the best inventions on the planet. It allows you to get SSL certificates that were out of reach for most users. And for a lot of things now, we're starting to get SSL by default. Apple have got, you can't use unencrypted web services. A lot of other applications now do that. This is good. The problem, of course, is that if you implement it wrong, it's still going to be hackable. So what I'm going to do here is do a HSTS bypass. Before I start, the bank is not vulnerable. The bank I chose just happens to have a very cool feature that I can show off. I can steal the password. The bank themselves are not vulnerable. The browser itself is an older version of the browser that doesn't support the HSTS preload. Also, I'm messing at TLS level. I'm messing at the network level. So I have to be, A, you must have never visited the site before on a browser that doesn't support preload, and B, you really are going to, it's a very narrow band attack, but it does make for a very good demo and means I can show you how I can steal passwords of it. So, here I have a Windows 10 box. I'm going to do an ARP-A. ARP-A gives you the ARP table, which shows you where a network address maps to a MAC address. What network address is mapping to the physical network card. Okay? It's like a postal address versus a visiting address. So you can see here now, or we could see here, so I'm going to do a very complicated script called mitm.sh. And this is the man-in-the-middle script. It's called from the man-in-the-middle framework from a guy called ByteBleeder, and it's available on GitHub. What I'm going to do now is show you the ARP table again. So if you look at .2 and .134, they both have the same MAC address. I've poisoned it so that your gateway used to be 6D, it's now D2 and D2, meaning that all network traffic is now going through me as the proxy, meaning I can sniff and intercept all your traffic. So if I go to sor.no, this is a Norwegian bank, and what I'm going to do here is load the application. So this is a web application. You can see it's a normal banking app. And what I've done now is a little bit of trickery in the back through man-in-the-middle. I kind of did this late at night. I may have had a few glasses of wine in me to try and do it, and I'm not so good at computers when I'm drunk. But it takes me a little bit of time to get used to using a magnifier, but I think it adds to the story of why you should never hack drunk. Come on, Niall, you can see. You see how hard this is? It's like, it doesn't work. So I'm going to zoom in up top, and I've now gone to www. But it's over HTTP, not HTTPS. So when I go to click into the NetBank, it has this thing called Bank ID. Bank ID is the thing in Norway where you can log in using two-factor auth, but this one has, without Bank ID, using your username and password, because that's bloody brilliant. So I'm going to type in some information here, okay? Some ID numbers or whatever, some random one I picked up. And I'm going to type in, this is Niall's Bank ID password. All right? Now it's going to show you his password because he's like that. Ta-da! And I'm going to click continue, which is the Norwegian for, or fortsatt, which is Norwegian for continue. It says, this is not a good username and password. No shit. All right, I'm going to close out. If I go back to Kali, I can see my username and password copied. That would have been HTTPS. All right? Now, banks are kind of funky. Google gets it right, right? So let's try the exact same thing on Google. Now this was done on a version of Edge, so it's not my fault, it was just handy to have. So we're now gone to google.com. If I go up to the top, it's www over HTTP. Google always loads over HTTPS, right? Not anymore. I can now see your search history. Most of you are like, oh, that's okay. There's nothing bad in my search history. So I went to google.com, went to accounts.google.com. I'm now logging over again, HTTP, and if I type in the username and password here, come on, you can do it. There you go. Tabs are hard. I click login, and if I go back to here, password 1234, stolen. If I steal your Google password, how much information do I have access to? All. A lot of it. And this is, I love the way you're smiling about this. This is actually very trivial to do, and it's great fun to annoy your neighbors. Because there's nothing better than sending them random emails at 2 o'clock in the morning. Turn down the noise. Now, these are all remote attacks. But one of the things I love showing people is how hard it is to break into Windows. Because it is very hard, honest. And Mac. Mac is as easy to break into as Windows, to be honest. There is a particular piece of software called Conboot. What Conboot does is it allows you to reboot the machine and either add a user in the form of Windows 10. In Windows 7, press any key to log in. Or for Mac, choose who you want to log in as and press return. Okay? Very hard, very difficult because, you know, how hard is it to reboot a machine? So let's show you what we do. This is my Samsung box. It is locked to me. Now, I'm sorry about the video, but it's on a camera that goes like this, back and forth, so you get a feeling that you're kind of like got really bad eyesight. And I'm just going to plug in my nice USB stick, and I'm going to reboot the machine. And the cool thing about this machine's extremely fast. So it reboots in seconds, due to the magic of video editing. And we get this really nice hacker effect. This is the best part of Conboot. It does this. Does this remind you of the old loading screens from the Commodore 64? Right? I now then will do what is known as a sticky key attack, where I'll press the Shift key a couple of times. I'll bring up the command prompt. Because what I've done is I've replaced the command prompt, which is running as administrator, the on-screen keyboard with the command prompt, and I'm going to add a new user. And I'm going to make that user an administrator. And then I'm going to reboot the machine. Okay? Wait for it. Niall can't type when it's like, I'm literally like this, and there's a camera on a tripod, and I'm just doing this. So that's why it looks so bizarre. I also had to clean my bedroom to sort it out, because otherwise it'd be just rubbish everywhere. So, I have no user here. You can see there's just 2 users. I unplug this and I reboot. Wait for it. Boom. That's the reboot done. And I'm going to try and log in again. I now have a demo user, which is a local administrator, brand new, all finished, all ready to log in. And Windows, because it's so nice, it says, "Hi. I'm so glad you're here." There you go. Isn't it great? You log into Windows and it goes, "I'm happy you're here. Somebody's using me." Getting things ready, don't turn off your PC. Oh, okay. So that is how I would hack a Windows 10 box. The only defense against this is BitLocker or password protecting your BIOS or making sure your disk is encrypted. On Mac, is it FileVault? Is it the FileVault on this? And that's what you would do. Right, I'm going to open up for questions, which I'm going to read. I can't see there. I'm going to read over here because my eyesight's getting old. How many antiviruses will allow Venom infected file? You can check that on virustotal.com. If you upload your file, it will show you how many antiviruses will pick it up. They recommend you don't do that because then the antiviruses will know the signature and then stop it. There's another technique known as Shelter, which does a very similar one, but it makes the actual application work. Is the Onion browser almighty? No. The reason the browser is not almighty because it's based on Firefox, which is also discovering bugs. There was one very big one discovered just last week, where if you did file:// it went out over vanilla HTTP rather than over Tor, so it revealed your IP address. Do I use it? Yes, for browsing the whatever, dark, deep web, whatever. Is it equal to a VPN? No. If you want to ensure that your traffic is completely secured over the Tor network, have it at the network level going out through a small box, automatically going out through Tor. Because that's the only way. You can't trust the browser. The browser's running on the OS. If a mistake's made in the browser, it automatically reveals your home IP address or whatever, so make sure you're not doing that. You say use a VPN, but many VPNs are running okay. So yes and no. I like the idea that you've dropped all Bobby tables. Well done, you. Did everyone see that? Little good old Bobby tables. If you haven't seen it, read XKCD. Use a VPN. They say use a VPN from the non-Five Eyes countries. So I personally use Freedom F-Secure from Finland. They can subpoena everything, but most companies will not do it. But please do your research of using a VPN. If you're that security-minded, make sure you check on the different VPN reviews. How does two-factor auth help against man-in-the-middle? You can still hijack one session. It stops people, if you're remote and they can stop people like trying to log in, they need to get that second token. Okay, I can still hijack a session, yes, but I can always, like, if I have your username and password, it stops people using it. However, there is a bypass for that, which I'll explain. Before you attempt to log in, you send the victim a text message to say, we have noticed some problems with your account. Someone tried to log in from this location. You will receive a Gmail number with 6 digits. Please reply to this text message with those numbers to temporarily lock your account. Log in, they get the message, they return back, you log in. Right? How about BitLocker? BitLocker, is that BootLocker? Is that a crypto locker system? Is someone whoever asked that? I have no idea. Is BitLocker safe? Yes. Yes and no. BitLocker is as safe as everything else. If you forget your password, it's doomed. You can't recover it. So make sure you have your recovery key. Right. 1 minute and 30 seconds. Anyone questions from the audience? Want to try it? Sorry, I can't hear you. Try. Okay, is it Onion plus the VPN good enough for total anonymity? No, because you have to adjust your browsing habits as well, because you can be fingerprinted by the sites you visited and certain cookies and tracers and whatever. If you want to be completely anonymous on the internet, you can't do it from home. And you shouldn't really be on the internet because you will be tracked. There's a thing, is there a website that used to say, how unique am I? Which would literally show you, based on your browser plugins, how they could track you. Okay, so the amount of information that your digital finger footprint leaks means that people can track you, so they will be able to find other things. You might get lost in the noise, but someone will spot you eventually when they start decluttering. So if you want to be completely anonymous on the internet, you have to have another persona, a completely burnable machine, completely burnable accounts, and basically get you 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, and keep them going. Everyone makes a mistake. The guys who got caught from the Silk Road got caught from a Stack Overflow post that they made all the way back because they put out some code saying, I'm trying to do this in an Onion service, and this is the information I had. And everyone went, huh? Hang on a second, that's the Silk Road. Oh, that's who that guy is. We all make mistakes, and it's usually because you have to do it at certain points and literally recreate yourself. Let's see, can you bypass HSTS on newer browsers? Yes and no, it depends. If it's preload, no. If it's not preload, yes. That's the quickest answer I'll give you, and I am out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.